From Amateur Radio Newsline Report number 2473, this is Ham Nation Headlines for Wednesday, March 26th, 2025. Our top story takes us to Washington, D.C., where the U.S. Agency for Global Media has been earmarked for defunding. Voice of America, Radio Free Europe, Radio Free Asia, and Radio Marti are among the international news services that the White House says it is preparing to dismantle.
Voice of America, a shortwave service launched in 1942 during the Second World War to bring news to countries under authoritarian control, is among U.S.-based news programming for overseas audiences targeted in a deep cut by the Trump administration. According to various media reports, VOA employees have been notified that they were all being placed on administrative leave with full benefits, effective immediately. Cuts to VOA, as well as Radio Free Europe, Radio Free Asia, Radio Marti, and others, are the result of reductions taking place inside the U.S. Agency for Global Media, where these programs originate. These cuts are part of the ongoing downsizing of the U.S. government. The agency operates with congressional funding to deliver news in 64 languages to listeners around the world via 6 networks, some of which were created during the Cold War. VOA's first broadcast, made in 1942, was in German and was transmitted to German listeners to counter Nazi propaganda. The Agency for Global Media's mission statement reads, quote, "To inform, engage, and connect people around the world in support of freedom and democracy," end quote. On Friday, the 15th of March, Trump signed the executive order for the cuts, noting in the language of the order itself that the services earmarked for reduction had been deemed, quote, "unnecessary," end quote. This is Kent Peterson, KC0 DGY.
They're home. Butch Wilmore and Suni Williams have returned from the ISS after an extended stay. Newsline anchor Stephen Kinford, N8WB, has details.
Tuesday night, March 18th, brought a safe splashdown at long last for Suni Williams, KD5 PLB, and Butch Wilmore, the 2 NASA astronauts left stranded on the International Space Station for 9.5 months after their Boeing Starliner spacecraft malfunctioned. They splashed down inside the SpaceX Dragon Freedom capsule off the coast of Florida, along with NASA astronaut Nick Hug, KG5 TMV, and Roscosmos cosmonaut Alexander Gorbanov. The 17-hour flight home ended a saga that began with what was supposed to have been only a short test flight aboard the Boeing Starliner in June.
2 trips are planned this year for young radio operators who are accepted into the Dave Calter Memorial Youth DX Adventure.
The adventure promises to be twice as big for young amateurs participating in the Dave Calter Memorial Youth DX Adventure experience in June and July. There are 2 trips planned. The first trip takes a group of youngsters to one of the top contesting stations here in the U.S. The young hams will serve as a team operating special event station W3Y from June 13th to the 15th, hosted by the K3LR Multi Contest Station in Pennsylvania. In July, other young participants will be going to Curacao to another super contesting station to operate as PJ2Y. The program is being hosted for the 4th time by the Caribbean Contesting Consortium, PJ2T. This 4-day activation will take place from the 17th through the 22nd of July. Be on the lookout for applications for both of these trips. In the meantime, you can visit the team page to get more information. The website is youthdxa.org. These adventures reflect the spirit and support given the program by Dave Calter, KB8OCP, the Youth Adventures co-founder. Dave became a silent key in November of 2013. This is Cell MB, KB3TZD.
A reminder, the nominating period for the 2025 Bill Pasternak WA6ITF Amateur Radio Newsline Young Ham of the Year Award is now open. Since 1986, we've been honoring the best of the best young people in amateur radio for their efforts in expanding the state-of-the-art of the amateur radio service and using ham radio to make the world a better place. The nominations close on May 31st, and the presentation will take place Saturday, August 16th at the Huntsville Ham Fest in Huntsville, Alabama. You can find more information and the nomination form on our website, arnewsline.org, under the Awards tab. And that's all from the Amateur Radio Newsline, your independent source for amateur radio news since 1976 at arnewsline.org. With Ken Peterson, KC0DGY, Stephen Kinford, N8WB, Cell MB, KB3TZD, Karen Eve Murray, KD2GUT, at the news desk in New York, and our news team across the globe. I'm Don Wellbanks, AE5DW. 7-3, we'll see you next time here on Ham Nation.